Hello, my astrology friends. This is Lada from AstroladaOfficial. Happy 2025 for all of you, and I have a special surprise for you. The wonderful, very insightful astrologer Carien. Hello, Carien.
Hi everyone. Hi Lada. Happy 2025.
Carien chose this year to present for you full forecast for each of the 12 signs. We will timestamp them. Carien is using tropical zodiac, but she uses a lot of Vedic techniques as well. So if she uses Vedic terms, don't be confused to use your sidereal Vedic sign. Use your tropical sun, moon, or rising. And as well, if you like Carien's style, she's incredibly in depth, using techniques from different astrologies that she's seen that work the most. You'll see her style if you don't know her already. You can contact her. I'm putting a link below in the description. She's offering at a promotional price, at a discount for all AstroLada viewers, a personal horoscope or reading for 2025 focused on the transits that are specifically for you, or also the full horoscope reading. Was that
Right.
also? Yes. So, Karine, you have the word. That will be a long one, couple of hours. I'm excited to hear sun, moon, and rising. Would you explain to people what's the difference between sun, moon, and rising and why they should watch trio, which one to emphasize on?
Yeah, I will. I will explain the methods. Thank you for the introduction. So how I read the chart and how you can use this reading is like what Lada just introduced. I use tropical zodiac and the whole sign house system for Vedic astrology in all my readings. So please check your tropical sign and use the whole sign house system for this reading only. Don't use any other house system. Because just like Lada said, many people believe sidereal zodiac is the foundation of Vedic astrology, but the ancient Vedic text clearly indicates that the system was originally based on the tropical calculation. And this is how I learned from the teachers. They also use the same method. And usually I will apply graha, planetary dristis, planetary aspects in all my readings, because in Vedic astrology, each planet has its specific eyesight, dristi, and this will also send influence to the house that it's looking at. So, for example, if you have Saturn transits your sixth house, Saturn's aspect is third, seventh, and 10th from its position. So Saturn transit the sixth house, Saturn will be looking at the third house from its position. So it will be the eighth house. The seventh, the opposite position, will be the 12th. And the 10th house from the sixth house is the third house. So Saturn will also shoot the influence to these three houses. And with planetary aspects, you can have a full picture of what's going on in your life. Otherwise, you only know what's going on when Saturn transit the sixth house.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then in this video, I will only cover some aspects and just otherwise the video will be very long.
Yes, you're very thorough as well. I know how you look in depth. So,
Yeah. And so for the events I'm going to look at for this video, which are Saturn is currently in the Pisces. Let me just share the screen. So Saturn still in Pisces in most of 2025, and then we'll briefly shift into Aries from May 25th to end of August, 3 months time. And then you will return to Pisces and remain there until February 2026. And Jupiter is currently in Gemini and will enter Cancer on June 10th and stay there for 1 year. And I remember we did a video together for Jupiter transit into Gemini. So people, if you want to have a look at what's going on with Jupiter transiting the Gemini, you can refer back to the video. But in this video, I will focus on Cancer, when Jupiter transit into Cancer. Unless there's something important when it's in Gemini, so I will specify that. And Rahu and Ketu will shift signs on January 12th in 2025 and stay here for a year and a half until July 26, 2026. So that means Rahu will enter Pisces, Ketu will be in Virgo. And the area of life represented by Pisces will be very much emphasized because Saturn and Rahu, they're both in Pisces for most of 2025. And the reading,
a very Piscean year, very watery year, so much water. Because people are talking powerful new beginnings, yes, but there will be glimpses of those when the planets move in Saturn, Neptune into Aries. But the majority is Pisces energy and Cancer, and that's Pisces is endings rather than beginnings.
yeah, but Jupiter and Saturn, they will become a trine.
Yeah.
It's actually quite good.
Yes, towards the end of the year.
And the reading is good if you check from your rising signs as well as your moon sign. Because in Vedic astrology, you can read everything from the moon's placements. That means the moon becomes your first house. Because moon rules our mind and how we feel our life experiences. So if you have a strong moon in the chart, and if you're over 50 years old, and also, if you're born in the nighttime, you should definitely check from your moon. But for everyone, you should check your moon sign as well, apart from rising sign. And you can also check the sun sign, but majorly you should check moon and your rising sign. Okay, so let's go with the 12 signs. Let me see. Aries risings and Aries moon. Saturn is currently in your 12th house and will shift into your first house from end of May and stay there for 3 months time until end of August and return to the 12th house and stay there until February 2026. And Jupiter is currently in your 3rd house and will enter the 4th house in June and stay there for 1 year. And Saturn will transit. So Saturn will still be in your 12th house for most of 2025. The 12th house is the unseen and unknown place because it's behind the ascendant, it's behind you. So that's why it's not visible to your eyes. That's why it rules the foreign places and hidden things. And 12th house also is associated with loss of money, loss of energy. So when Saturn here can certainly bring up some chronic health issues and make you more aware of your health. And since the 12th house is the house of losing energy, so you might feel drained, fatigued, and more lethargic under this influence. And at the same time, because Ketu will shift into the 6th house, Rahu in the 12th house, so it's a 6th and 12th house axis. And Ketu shift the 6th house. This also another indication that health issue might surface, especially those unresolved physical issues. And so with Saturn transit the 12th house, Ketu in the 6th house, there's a strong focus on improving your health as well as your mental well-being, maybe your emotional well-being, emotional body. So on the positive side, you may start to realize that you need to work on restructuring, rebuilding your health, your body, and your mind. And 12th house is the house of expenses and loss, like how you spend your money on something and losing your money. So you could spend money on hospitals. It doesn't mean you're going to get sick and maybe you just go for a checkup or non-traditional healing because now you probably focus on your mental well-being, your overall well-being. So you spend more money on those things, alternative methods. And as I mentioned just now, because Rahu and Ketu shift signs, Rahu and Saturn will be in the 12th house. And Rahu will be in the 12th house for a year and a half. And 12th house rules foreign places and foreign things. So in terms of spending, apart from you might spend money on hospitals or healing activities, you might also spend money on foreign travels, foreign investments, or maybe investing something related to foreign factors. And you also might spend money on like something can help your spiritual growth, because Ketu in the 6th house can make you feel less ambitious about your work. And Rahu in the 12th house, you probably feel pulled towards the spiritual activities. So you can also spend money on those things. Things can help your spiritual growth, retreats, hidden matters, or foreign travels.
Can
And
I
for Aries,
add something quickly? Because in 2017 and 18, I had Saturn and one of the nodes in my 12th house from Ascendant. And I spent a lot of time alone or more isolation because I was pregnant and raising babies. So there is this also, you might need to retreat from the world because of some responsibility again, like
yeah,
pregnancy, babies. So it doesn't always have to be illness, but definitely I felt drained energetically. So that's for sure.
definitely. And did you spend a lot of time on your spiritual growth,
Oh, yeah.
introspection?
I was doing a lot of visualizations, a lot of prayer, trying to connect to God. With Saturn was a bit hard, but I felt this deep need to do it. And
Mm,
alone time, isolated time was also helping with that.
good. So yeah, for Aries rising and moons, this is your opportunity. Because for Aries, probably Aries risings are usually quite go, go, go. But with this, because Saturn is ruling your 10th and 11th house and transiting the 12th house, house of dissolution. So you, like I said, you might feel less motivated, less ambitious, which is good because you spend more time on your spiritual growth, your personal growth. And some of you might switch your work from working in the office to working from home, like a retreat from the visibility of the world, because Ketu is transiting the sixth house. Ketu transiting the sixth house, you might start losing interest in your job or feeling unhappy with certain working situation. So, like I said, you might shift to how you work, shift to working from home or working part time or working less or working. Some of you might take a break from work. And you might also feel like leaving your job, avoiding certain responsibilities and duties, and shift your focus towards the spiritual pursuit. And then Saturn will shift into your first house for 3 months from May 25th until end of August. And bring like heavy duties and responsibilities, and then you will take up a lot of your time because Saturn is the planet of time. So Saturn wants you to learn the importance of time management and also the sense of responsibility. And also when Saturn transit the first house, is looking at the seventh house and also the 10th house. So you may take on new work responsibilities and duties or social responsibilities or even business duties. And you might also take on more responsibilities for your partner because Saturn is looking at the opposite house, your seventh house. And not to mention that just now I said Rahu and Ketu, this axis can influence in your 12th and 6th houses. So something might shift around your work, how you work, and also your routines, your habits. And if you do change your job, be ready for more work pressure under this influence. And Saturn transit, Saturn is the planets of work and effort. When it transits the first house rules the body. So Saturn is going to put some pressure on your health and make you more aware of your health. So it doesn't really matter when Saturn transits your 12th house for most of 2025, when Saturn shifts into your first house. Because when Saturn transiting in your 12th house, you feel drained, you feel tired, you feel like you just want to hibernate. And when Saturn transit your first house, Saturn also puts pressure on your physical body. So throughout the 2025, physical health as well as your mental well-being will be the focus. But having said that, after June, because Jupiter will shift into your fourth house, which is a good position. So Jupiter is currently in your third house and will shift into the fourth house from June 10th, and then will stay there for 1 year. So despite the things I mentioned just now, there might be some shifts around your work, your schedule, your daily routines, your lifestyle. Jupiter transit the fourth house after June actually can bring peace and happiness in your heart. And the reason you feel and you become happier is because the combination, Rahu transiting the 12th house, Ketu transiting the 6th house, you start to focusing on your health, your mental well-being, your spiritual growth, your personal growth. And you probably change the way you work, change the working hours, change the environment. And also when Saturn transit the 12th house can make you feel less ambitious about work. So that's why all this combination, and with Jupiter transiting the 4th house, you feel happier, more grounded. And so when Jupiter transits the 4th house, it actually brings like it increases your inner sense of stability and confidence, which is very supportive regarding your psychology. And also when Jupiter transiting the 4th house is aspecting the 10th house. So if there are some delays or difficulties about your career path, when Jupiter transits the 4th house aspecting the 10th house, it brings some progress and new openings, possibilities on your career path. So that was Aries. Now, Taurus risings and Taurus moon. Saturn is currently in your 11th house and will shift into the 12th house from end of May and stay there for 3 months until end of August. Then return to the 11th house and then stay there until February 2026. Jupiter is currently in your 2nd house and will enter the 3rd house in June and stay there for 1 year. So Saturn still travels in your 11th house for most of 2025 for Taurus risings and moons, which is good because the 11th house rules gain, achievements, rewards, recognition, and Saturn loves the 11th house. So for Taurus risings and moons, you can still enjoy Saturn's gifts and blessings throughout 2025. And you'll definitely find support from your colleagues, doors are open up, job opportunities are coming to you. And there could have been opportunities for more long-term job contracts if you're more of a casual worker or a freelancer. So there will be more job opportunities. And the 11th house rules gain. So you will definitely have opportunities to increase your income, perhaps through a pay rise, a new job, or new source of income. Then Rahu will come and join Saturn in your 11th house on January 12th and stay there for a year and a half. Rahu transit the 11th house is another indication of increased opportunities for income. And Rahu brings unpredictable energy. Rahu is crazy. So you might find some unconventional or unique or strange, surprising ways of making money or opportunities that connect to foreign factors, foreign countries, or foreigners in 2025. And Rahu is driven by desire, so you will feel strong drive to achieve material goals. And Rahu is not always connected to ethics, so be very mindful of any questionable ways to make money or fulfill your desires, because Saturn is a planet of doing things in a lawful abiding way, and Rahu in the 11th house, you might be driven by your desires, so pay attention to that. And also when Saturn transits the 11th house, Saturn is looking at your 5th and 8th house, both houses, and these two houses are related to speculation, stocks and shares, investments. So be really careful with your financial choices. But overall, Rahu transit the 11th house is actually very good. Rahu likes to be in the 11th house as well. Then Saturn will shift into your 12th house for 3 months' time from May 25th until end of August. 12th house is the last house, is the final house. It's the house of completion. And 12th house is an unseen place, unknown place, because it's behind you, behind the ascendant. So it's not visible to your eyes. And that's why it rules foreign places, hidden things. And 12th house is a house of loss of money, loss of energy. So for Taurus risings and moons, Saturn is ruling your 10th house, transiting the 12th. It could indicate some changes in your work environment and job situation. So you might be working in isolation setting, or working from home, or working remotely, maybe working abroad on an island. That's why you're isolated yourself. Or your job requires more travel, which is very likely because Jupiter will move into your third house after June. And so, yeah, from June to August, you may probably have more opportunity to work overseas, or maybe you travel more for work. And 12th house is the house of escapism. And like I said, Saturn is ruling the 10th house, transiting the 12th house. So it could also mean that you feel less motivated about your career goals, career direction, or you could feel uncertain about your career development. Then Jupiter is currently in your second house and will move into the third house on June 10th and stay there for a year. As I mentioned just now, Rahu will shift into the 11th house on January 12th, which could bring opportunities to increase your income and create multiple income streams. With Jupiter still transiting your second house for the first 5 months of 2025, you can expect some sudden gains, profits, or other unexpected ways of making money. Multiple income streams coming to you. You can expect money coming to your wallet. And then Jupiter will shift into the third house on June 10th. Jupiter will definitely bring expansion and luck to the third house matters. So that means you'll notice an increase in your communication, meetings, interactions with other people, or travel. Like I said, you might travel for work. And your communication, your presentational skills will become more flowing and effective, which can benefit your work performance, business activities like sales, marketing, advertisements, media work, or publication, or paperwork. And for Taurus risings and moons, Jupiter is ruling your 11th house, transiting the third. So both 11th house and third house, they are karma houses, like social houses. So it's really good position to work on your business and creative projects. And you can use your creativity or marketing skills to enhance your business. And if you have any long-term plans or ideas, and it is a good time to put them into actions, because the third house is a house of actions, dedication, and effort. So this is a good time to implement that. And on top of that, Rahu transiting the 11th house expands your social circle throughout 2025. So the connection that you make during this time can be potentially helpful and supportive for your career or projects or business, because the more people you know, the more connections you make, those people can also bring in potential business for you and your visibility. So this is very good for self-employed people, because all your karma houses, 7 and 3rd and 11 houses, they are all activated. So through connecting with people, interactions with people, meeting with others, you could attract more work opportunities and gain new clients as well. The next one is Gemini. So Gemini risings and moons, Saturn is currently in your 10th house and will shift into your 11th house from end of May and stay there for 3 months until end of August. Then return to the 10th house and then stay there until February 2026. And Jupiter is currently in your first house and will enter the second house in June and stay there for 1 year. Saturn will still travels in your 10th house for most of 2025. But even when Saturn shifts into your 11th house is still a very good house for Saturn to be in. And when Saturn travels through your 10th house is a big deal in Vedic astrology, because each planet has their own key houses. 10th and 6th houses, these two houses, they are Saturn's key houses. So when Saturn transits the 10th house, this is the time you will have a strong sense of responsibility. and you'll take important steps towards the professional goals that you like to achieve. You'll work really hard on your status, your reputation, and you'll make real progress in your career developments. So that's the blessings when Saturn transits the 10th house. It's not going to be easy. You will still face challenges because Saturn brings more responsibilities and sometimes some delays and difficulties that you need to overcome. But with perseverance and dedication, you will definitely overcome those hurdles. And for Gemini risings and moons, if you're thinking about making a career change, the first 5 months of 2025 is a good time because Jupiter is still transiting your first house. So when Jupiter transiting the first house, it brings opportunities, and some opportunities might present themselves, new beginnings and openings. Then Rahu will join Saturn in your 10th house on January 12th and stay there for a year and a half until July 2026. With Rahu's influence here in the 10th house, you will definitely have a strong desire to rise in your career, to gain public visibility, recognition, and authority. And you will feel more ambitious, determined, and even obsessed with achieving your goals. It's very important to be mindful not to take shortcuts or engage in any risky behaviors or to achieve your desires, because Rahu is not ethical. And that doesn't work well with Saturn's principles in the 10th house. So bring some awareness to that. And also Rahu's energy is unconventional, unfamiliar. So you may feel drawn towards like unusual career paths or taking unique approaches in your work. It's not good or bad, it's just different. But with Rahu transiting the 10th house, Ketu transiting your 4th house, the 10th and 4th axis, this brings a focus on balancing your work and also your home life. Because this might be a period of time where you might feel very driven, ambitious with your career goals and also your external success. But at the same time, you might feel a sense of disconnection from your home life, because when Ketu transiting the 4th house, it actually detaches you from your home life, your home surrounding, and also your inner stability. But because Saturn transit the 10th house, it is also shooting the influence to the 4th house. So you see there's a dynamic here. You feel driven for your work, your external success, but at the same time, you also have something you need to pay attention to in your home environment, or maybe your inner stability, your private world, your inner happiness. So this will be the biggest lesson that for Gemini risings and moons to pay attention to throughout 2025. And then Saturn will shift into your 11th house for 3 months from May 25th until end of August. 11th house rules social contact, friends, groups, and organizations that you're part of. So for Gemini risings and moons, Saturn is ruling your 8th and transiting the 11th house. 8th house is about transformation and changes, transiting your social group, social contacts. So you can expect some shift in your friend circle. And you might start feeling like you've invested too much time in certain friendship or groups that are not really serving you. So during this 3 months time, you'll be reevaluating connections and maybe distancing yourself from some of them. And the 11th house rules rewards, recognition, and gains. In Saturn transit here, you can expect rewards from your hard work in the past 2 years. And this can also bring elevation in your social status, pay rise, maybe promotion, because 11th house is the reward, the second from the 10th. So that's the rewards that you get from your hard work. And you will notice that doors are opening, opportunities are coming to you. But this will just be a glimpse of those things, because Saturn will only be here for 3 months' time, and half of the time Saturn is going to be retrograding. And then Jupiter. Jupiter is currently traveling through your first house and will shift into the second house, which is also a very good house, a house of money, and will stay there for a year. Second house is related to money, wealth, savings, material possessions, and personal values. So during this transit, there will be opportunities to grow your personal wealth, and also your desire to build material security will also increase. As I mentioned just now, from June to August, end of August, this 3 months time, Saturn will be transiting your 11th house. And Saturn is the lord of your 8th house, which is related to the money that you earn through your service. So for example, if you're working in a commission-based job, 8th house also rules insurance, loans, tax, shared finances, or even inheritance. So with Jupiter transiting the second house, shifting into the second house. So for the 3 months time, June to August, you can expect some financial gain or support. Maybe it's the loan that you apply finally comes through. And yeah, so you can expect some gains and supports during the 3 months time. And second house is below the first house. So second house supports the first house, supports the body. That's why it also rules money, resources, and food and family. So when Jupiter transits the second house, you can also count on your family when you need some help. And again, Jupiter transit the second house is aspecting the 8th house. It's also another indication for wealth or inheritance under this influence. Then Cancer risings and Cancer moons. Saturn is currently in your 9th house and will shift into the 10th house from end of May and stay there for 3 months until end of August, and return to the 9th house and stay there until February 2026. Jupiter is currently in your 12th house and will enter the first house in June and stay there for 1 year. 9th house rules higher learning, higher education, belief system, religion, foreign travels, gurus, teachers, and publication. So Saturn continues deepening your understanding of the 9th house matters for most of 2025. And you'll be putting deep thoughts into your religious beliefs, values, philosophical system. And there will be shifts in those areas as Saturn is the lord of your 8th house, transiting the 9th. So there will be some change of your traditional thoughts, values, and system. And also Rahu will join Saturn in your 9th house on January 12th and stay there for a year and a half. So Rahu transit here sparks a deep questioning of your established beliefs, traditional beliefs, or the beliefs that passed on from your father or from your family. And you may have a strong desire to explore philosophies that are unusual, eccentric, or foreign to your cultural background or to your religious background. And you may also be drawn to different spiritual practices or esoteric knowledge. And a deep reflection on those subjects, and also strong desire to explore different religious beliefs, philosophical beliefs, and a shift in those areas can also lead you to a higher learning and education. So because you question those things and you also want to explore more, that's why you want to learn more. And with the Saturn influencing the 9th house, you will take a more disciplined approach to studies or learning. If you do take a course, if you do study or learn on your own, and which is very good for deep diving into those subjects that require patience, introspection, and concentration. Because Saturn transit here, you will definitely become more disciplined and serious with those subjects. So it's good if you want to study philosophy, spiritual subjects, religious subjects, or law. Saturn Rahu is also transiting the ninth house. With Rahu's influence in the ninth house, you may be drawn to controversial or unconventional teachers, mentors, or guides. So you could be driven by activities or beliefs that seem spiritual on the surface, but maybe driven by ego or escapism or a desire for quick results. So pay attention to that, because it can also create some tension or misunderstanding in your relationship with traditional teachers. And ninth house usually rules the father's teaching or the elderly's teaching, because those are the people pass on their belief system onto you. So yeah, it can create some tension with them. So for Cancer risings and moons, be careful with your source of knowledge. If you choose to learn things on your own or find guidance from unconventional source, be mindful with misinformation and deceitful teachings. Then Saturn will shift into your 10th house for 3 months, from May 25th until end of August, 3 months time. And Saturn traveling through the 10th house is a big deal in Vedic astrology, because 10th house is Saturn's key house. So when Saturn transits the 10th house, it's a start of a new cycle, Saturn's cycle. And that means this is the time you will start taking important actions towards the things that you really want to do in life. Because 10th house rules the things that we want to do in life. It's not necessarily career, but in modern days, yes, it's through your career, but it's more like the things that will make you happy. It's more of your calling. So when Saturn transits the 10th house, you will definitely take more serious steps into that direction. Maybe something you've been thinking of doing for a while, but haven't got around to. So this transit would definitely push you to finally make it happen. But Saturn transit the 10th house would definitely put a lot of pressure on you. Perhaps there could be unexpected responsibilities that can feel overwhelming, particularly for Cancer moons, because moon rules how we feel about our life experiences. So for moon sign, Cancer moon, you'll feel extra stressed during this transit. And Saturn is the lord of your 8th house, transiting the 10th. So there might be some shifts around the work environment. Your supervisor, you might even question if this is the right place or right direction for you. But Saturn transit to the 10th house is only 3 months time. The actual event will gradually unfold when Saturn fully shifts into the 10th house in 2026. So you can have a glimpse of what's going on when Saturn transits the 10th house during that 3 months time. And at the same time, Jupiter will shift into the first house. It's actually a good place for Jupiter to be in. And it will bring a sense of optimism and increase your sense of confidence. So despite Saturn transiting the 10th house can bring you a lot of pressure, and sometimes you may have a doubt in your career path, Jupiter shifts into the first house actually is the saving grace, because it gives you hope and positivity. But for the first 5 months, Jupiter is still in your 12th house. Jupiter will only move into your first house on June 10th and stay there for 1 year. And like I said, Jupiter transit the first house, it's a happy place, because Jupiter brings expansion and breakthroughs at all levels. And it brings breakthroughs to your current situation, your job situation, your life situation. So if you're unsure about your career and future steps, Jupiter transit here would definitely bring clarity and inspirations. And you would start to see possibilities and feel more confidence in your path forward. And when Jupiter transits the first house, opportunities for new career might present itself. So if you've been trying to start some projects but having difficulties, now is a good time. And this is also a good time for business development. But just bear in mind, because Saturn will be shifted into your 10th house for 3 months' time. So even though you're doing something big and starting something new, there will be more responsibilities and work pressure. But still, Jupiter transiting the first house will make you happy to do those things. You're happily to receive those responsibilities. And Jupiter transits the first house, you will have a strong desire for personal growth, whether it's through learning, education, travel, or new experiences. It's an excellent time to pursue new skills, knowledge, or hobbies that could expand your horizon. And at the same time, because Saturn still in your ninth house for most 2025. So actually for Cancer risings and moons, 2025 is a good year for deep learning. Just be mindful for those delusional, deceitful teachings, because Rahu also in the ninth house. And Rahu in the ninth house can also make you a little bit scattered and impatient with your learning results. So try to be patient and stay concentrated. Now let's go to Leo. Leo risings and Leo moons. Saturn is currently in your 8th house and will shift into your 9th house from end of May and stay there for 3 months' time until end of August. Then return to the 8th house and stay there until February 2026. Jupiter is currently in your 11th house and will enter the 12th house in June and stay there for 1 year. Saturn will still be in your 8th house for most of 2025 for Leo risings and moons. And Saturn is a natural significator of work. So when it's transiting the 8th house, it continues bringing changes and restructuring in your career path, your work situation, or maybe your work environment. And some people might even choose to change their career path voluntarily during this transit. The first 5 months of 2025, Jupiter is still transiting in your 11th house, which could bring opportunities for a new job, a new position, new contracts, a pay rise, or even a promotion. So despite Saturn transiting the 8th house, can bring some changes, restructuring in your work situation. Jupiter's blessings in the 11th house actually make sure these shifts, these changes come with some positive outcomes or benefits. Saturn transit the 8th house is aspecting, looking at the 10th house. So whatever job that you take, new contracts, whatever adjustments that you make in your work situation is going to demand more of your efforts and dedication. But as I mentioned in the video last year, despite the ups and downs and restructuring in your career path, Saturn transit the 8th house from the 10th for Leo risings and moons. This is a very rewarding position because the change that you make is for the better. And Saturn transit the 8th house truly brings you a career that's more meaningful to you. It's like you're finally in line with your calling. So if you're curious about that, you can refer back to the video last year I made with Lada. Then Rahu will join Saturn in the 8th house on January 12th and stay there until July 2026. The 8th house rules longevity and hidden health issues. So when Saturn transits here, it can bring up some chronic or long developing health concerns that you may have overlooked for years. And together with Rahu's influence in the 8th house, it could cause some sudden or mysterious health challenges. So yeah, pay attention to that. Maybe schedule a health checkup. And 8th house rules other people's money, your spouse's money, business partner's money, joint resources. It also rules the money that you earn from the service that you provide. So if you're in a job that's more of a commission-based, that's also 8th house. And during this time, your partner, romantic partner, or your business partner might be dealing with some kind of financial challenges or investment issues. So you may not be able to get the financial support from them, and you need to learn to take more responsibilities for your own finances. Saturn is a karmic planet, and Rahu is unpredictable energy. So when these two both are in your eighth house, the combination can bring significant and transformative changes or life lessons to Leo risings and moons. You will be forced to deal with some hidden or unresolved issues. So, particularly for Leo moons, because you feel more, that's how you feel about your life experiences. Be ready for some unexpected changes, shifts in your financial situation, relationships, because Saturn is the lord of your seventh house, transiting the eighth. So some shifts around your finances, your money, money with your partner, relationships, or health. But having said that, both Saturn and Rahu transiting the eighth house, this is also a good time for Leo risings and moon for you to dive into occult science because you feel drawn towards those subjects. Occult science, esoteric knowledge, mysterious subjects, spirituality. And after June, when Jupiter moves into your 12th house, this is a perfect time to learn those subjects. Then Saturn will shift into the ninth house for 3 months' time from May 25th until end of August. Ninth house rules higher learning, education, belief system. It also rules religion, foreign travel, schools, teachers, and publication. So Saturn transit the ninth house can make you travel for work. And those trips are likely to focus more on duties and responsibilities rather than pleasures. And Saturn transit here is very supportive for those working in education or teaching related or mentoring, coaching, publication, or in law. When Saturn transit here, the ninth house, the external situation will trigger you to put deep thoughts into your values, philosophical system, and religious beliefs. That would lead you to further study, further education, or other learning situations because you want to explore more. And maybe it's also because you're starting to question your beliefs. And like I said, when Jupiter moved into your 12th house after June, along with Saturn transiting the ninth house from June to August, this is a perfect time to research the things that you like to dive into. Then Jupiter is currently in your 11th house for the first 5 months of 2025. Then will shift into your 12th house on June 10th and stay there for 1 year. As I mentioned just now, Saturn will be in your 8th house for most 2025. Rahu is in the 8th house as well. And Jupiter now moving into the 12th house after June. Both 8th and 12th houses, they are moksha houses, house of liberation, spirituality, transformation, personal growth. So for Leo risings and moons, there's a strong focus on your personal growth, spiritual growth, and deep learning. And Jupiter transit the 12th house if you're more spiritually inclined. You may feel drawn to meditation, yoga, or other spiritual practices. And if you do have a daily spiritual routine, this transit can bring significant breakthroughs in your spiritual development. 12th house also rules foreign places. So during these transits, there may be opportunities for foreign travel or connecting with other people from distant lands. And you may have a strong desire to visit faraway locations or join a retreat or explore spiritual destinations like a spiritual pilgrimage. And Jupiter's transit here, 12th house, can bring joy and positive experience for those travels and those experiences if you do travel to like spiritual destinations. And it also brings joy to your connection with people from different cultures. But be mindful of your spending because 12th house rules losses and spendings. When Jupiter transit here can definitely increase your expenses. And with Saturn transiting still in your 8th house, because you might not get much support, financial support from your partner, whether it's from your romantic partner or business partner. That means Leo risings and moons, you need to take care of your own financial situation. And Jupiter is transiting the 12th house, it might increase your spending. So it's very important for you to keep a solid budget to handle any unexpected expenses during this time. Now for Virgo risings and moons, Saturn is currently in your 7th house and will shift into your 8th house from end of May and stay there for 3 months until end of August. Then return to the 7th house and stay there until February 2026. And Jupiter is currently in your 10th house and will enter the 11th house in June and stay there for 1 year. So Saturn continues bringing the test to your personal and professional relationship throughout the 2025, for most of 2025. And Saturn can create delays, misunderstandings, or challenges in relationships. It may test the strength, the partnerships, or reveal underlying issues that need resolution. It's not necessarily breaking your partnership, but definitely it's a test to the strength of a partnership. And on the positive side, it can also lead to more stable and long-term commitments once you pass the test. And it would definitely help your approach to relationships become more mature and responsible. Because when Saturn transits the 7th house, it's actually you need to take on more responsibilities for the other person. And the Saturn transit here also makes you have a deeper reflection, introspection. So during this transit, you might reevaluate what you expect from relationships, how you contribute to them, and how you can make your connections more meaningful and aligned with your values. Then Rahu will come in, join Saturn in your 7th house on January 12th and stay there until July 2026. Rahu will amplify your focus on relationships as well. So, but at the same time, Rahu can also cloud your judgments, creating unrealistic expectations or illusions about a partner or a relationship. So pay attention to that. Both Saturn and Rahu are in your 7th house. Saturn is to make you reassess, reevaluate, and Rahu is to make you delusional. So it's very important for Virgo risings and moons to stay realistic and grounded regarding your relationships, your partnerships, or maybe your collaboration with other people. And 7th house is a house of working with others, collaborations. If you're self-employed or in business, this is actually a good time for you because Rahu here can bring some sudden opportunities for business alliances, working with other people, sudden opportunities in the marketplace. And you might be partnering up with people that are quite eccentric or innovative people. And you can also form foreign connections or unconventional collaborations, which could open up more doors for business growth and success. And with Jupiter moving into the 11th house after June, it further highlights opportunities in the marketplace and financial growth because you see Rahu in the 7th house, you form more collaborations with other people, with eccentric people, unusual people, and Jupiter comes into the 11th house after June. So it actually brings like dynamic, the exciting opportunities for the marketplace if you're working in business or if you're self-employed. So it's very important for Virgo risings and moons to put yourself out there, to meet with people, to connect with people, and to create multiple income streams. And also, seventh house it's a public house. So by meeting with other people, collaborating with other people, by putting yourself out there, it actually amplifies your public presence and recognition. Then Saturn will shift into your eighth house for 3 months from May 25th until end of August. Eighth house rules sudden changes, transformation, and longevity. For Virgo risings and moons, Saturn is the lord of your sixth house, transiting the eighth. So it can bring up some health issues to the surface. It doesn't mean you're going to be sick, but there might be some issues that you no longer can ignore, particularly like chronic or hidden or slow developing conditions. So it's wise to schedule a health checkup soon to make sure everything is okay. And if any health concern arising, you can also deal with them early. And Saturn is the lord of your sixth house, and sixth house is about habits, routines, lifestyle. So when Saturn transiting the eighth house, some of the habits, some of the routines might change. For example, you may adopt a new habit or a more disciplined lifestyle, which is good because it can improve your health or maybe your work performance by bringing more awareness to your health, your holistic well-being. You might be changing your lifestyle, you might be changing your habits. So it's not necessarily a bad thing for Virgo risings and moon when Saturn transiting the eighth house. And but eighth house rules other people's money, your spouse's money, business partner's money, joint resources. And during this transit, your partner might be dealing with some financial challenges or investment issues. So you might need to learn to take on more financial responsibilities to make sure everything is okay. And it can happen within the business partnership or within your household, like you're taking more responsibilities for your husband, for your spouse. But the transit's only 3 months time, so you can have a glimpse of what's going to happen when Saturn fully enters into your eighth house in 2026. Jupiter is currently in your 10th house for the first 5 months in 2025 and will move into your 11th house on June 10th and stay there for 1 year. Jupiter transit the 11th house, you can expect rewards, promotion, recognition. And Jupiter brings growth and expansion in your income. Because 11th house is second from the 10th. So that's the rewards that you get from your efforts. So that's why income, you can have an increased income. And also Jupiter brings opportunities in the marketplace for your business. Especially Jupiter is the lord of your 7th house, transiting the 11th house and aspecting back to the 7th house. So if you're in any collaborational relationship, business field, sales, or if your work is to acquire more clients, it brings more opportunities and success in those situations. And this combination really goes really well when Rahu transiting the 7th house. I think I mentioned that earlier. And Jupiter's transit here in the 11th house, you'll be open to socialize. Because for Virgo risings and moons, sometimes you're not that sociable. But when Jupiter is transiting the 11th house, you'll be more open to socialize, to meet new people, new friends, associates, and you might even make friends with your clients. And those people, you can become your source of help to achieve your goals. Maybe it's material goals. And they can also potentially like introduce more clients to you, and they can also bring more opportunities to you. So overall, Jupiter transit the 11th house is very lucky for financial growth, professional recognition, and expanding your network. Now Libra risings and moons. Saturn is currently in your 6th house and will shift into your 7th house from end of May and stay there for 3 months until end of August. Then return to the 6th house and then stay there until February 2026. Jupiter is currently in your 9th house and will enter your 10th house in June and stay there for 1 year. So Saturn still travels in your 6th house for most of 2025. 6th house rules health, daily routines, lifestyle, work, competition, and arguments. Basically, 6th house rules all kinds of imbalanced situations in life. With Saturn's influence here, it continues making you more aware about your body, your work, your lifestyle. Maybe some of them, maybe all of them need some adjustments. And Saturn transit the 6th house definitely will bring a reality check to your health, your routines, your habits, your lifestyle, how you work, your work attitude, and also your work situation. So it is a time to let go of certain practices which are no longer useful to your life, no longer to your work, and you can find a better, more efficient way of doing things. So this is a major period of time for adjustment. And with Jupiter still transiting the 9th house in the first 5 months of 2025, you will gain valuable insights and clarity about what kind of change that you need to make in order for you to feel happier and to improve your life, improve your health. But 6th house is below the 7th house. 7th house rules other people, and 6th house below the 7th house. So 6th house is supporting others. So that's why it rules the service that we do for other people. It rules employment. So Saturn transit here, the focus will still be revolving around work for most of 2025. Then Rahu will join Saturn in the 6th house on January 12th and stay here for a year and a half. And Rahu is doing great in the 6th house, actually. And Rahu will emphasize your focus on overcoming hurdles, life's challenges, and enemies. But Rahu here can also bring up some health issues to the surface, since Saturn here in the 6th house also emphasizes well-being, your health, your lifestyle. So there's a strong focus on improving your health, improving your lifestyle, improving your well-being throughout 2025. Then Saturn will shift into the 7th house for 3 months from May 25th until end of August. Saturn transit here can test both your personal and professional relationships. On a personal level, your partner might go through some challenges in life or health issues, and you will have to take on more responsibilities for them or within the household, because Saturn transit the 7th house is aspecting the 4th house. So taking more responsibilities for the loved ones. And on the professional level, if your job involves working with other people, like networking, making connections with others, sales, acquiring more clients, or bargaining, negotiation, you may feel more restricted under this influence. And Saturn transit here is to teach you the important lesson of taking responsibilities for other people, becoming more mature and organized when you work with others or when you're in a relationship. It tests your patience and commitment in the partnership and collaboration, because sometimes depending on the whole chart, but Libra risings and moons, there might be some codependency problem or wanting to be in a relationship. So taking more responsibility is actually the very good quality to build a long-lasting and solid relationship. So this is a very good lesson for Libra risings and moons to learn. But this lesson and also the events will gradually unfold when Saturn fully enters into your seventh house in 2026. Jupiter is currently in your ninth house and will move into the 10th house on June 10th and then stay there for 1 year. Jupiter transit the 10th house is great for career advancements and success, as well as your social status. There will be opportunities and doors open for you and opportunities to help you move forward from your current situation. And Jupiter is ruling the 6th house, transiting the 10th. So it can increase, this is an indication for more workload and responsibilities. But at the same time, it also brings opportunities for promotion, visibility, your public visibility, and even a sudden rise in your career development. And your job might have some kind of international connections, foreign connections, or on a global scope. It could also be that you're working in the international company. Maybe you change job, and then now you're working in an international company or with global clients. And at the same time, Rahu is transiting the 6th house. So there's a Rahu transiting the 6th house also, it's another indication of foreign connections. Basically, Jupiter transit the 10th house is aspecting your 2nd and 6th house. So despite Saturn transiting the 6th house can bring up some issues and challenges, but Jupiter's blessings aspects towards the 6th house is actually the saving grace, is actually uplifting the 6th house. And 2nd house rules your money, and 6th house rules your work. The more work that you put in, the more you can elevate your reputation and also increase your income. So this is actually a good time for Libra risings and moons to lay out the foundation for your career as well as your financial stability. For Scorpio risings and moons, Saturn is currently in your 5th house and will shift into your 6th house from end of May and will stay there for 3 months until end of August. Then return to the 5th house and stay there until February 2026. Jupiter is currently in your 8th house and will enter the 9th house in June and stay there for 1 year. So Saturn will still be in your 5th house for most of 2025. 5th house rules the speculative business, investments, and Saturn transit here is not an ideal time for risky investments or gambling. But it is a good time for long-term financial planning and organizing your money because Saturn transit the 5th house is aspecting your 11th and 2nd house. So for most of 2025, this is a good time to get your financial situation in order. And Saturn is the ruler of your 4th house transiting the 4th. You might find some opportunities through properties, through your family members, family investments, or family business, or through vehicles and lands. Or it could be the time that you start looking into investing in those areas. You're showing some interest in those areas. A 5th house is a house of creation. It rules our creative expressions, education, children, and it's a house of fun and pleasures. But Saturn is a planet of effort and work. So when Saturn transits here, it will help you recognize the value of your creative mind, creative work, and creations. So for early or mid-degree Scorpio risings and moons, over the past 2 years, if you have you might have become more focused on one of your hobbies or projects and possibly working on turning it into a business. And if you haven't already, Saturn transit the fifth house throughout 2025, for most of 2025, still very supportive time to do so. Then Rahu will join Saturn in your fifth house on January 12th and then stay there for a year and a half. And Saturn transit the fifth house brings some blockages in your creative thinking, creative mind, and creative projects and creations. And it requires more dedication and structured approach to push through. But when Rahu comes in, Rahu actually makes you think outside of the box. You may feel a strong desire to break free from traditional approaches and explore unconventional forms of creative expressions or solutions. Like you want to do something in an unconventional way. And this could bring some breakthroughs for those working in creative or artistic field or fields, areas like writing, education, or anything that requires creative thinking. Maybe you need to be creative in your solutions. Then Saturn will shift into the sixth house for 3 months from May 25th until end of August. Sixth house rules health, daily routines, lifestyle, work, competition, arguments. And sixth house basically rules all kinds of imbalanced situations in life. But actually, Saturn is doing great in the sixth house. But still, Saturn transit the sixth house can bring up some issues related to your work, habits, lifestyle, and also your health. For example, Saturn transit the sixth house can bring up issues that you have been putting up with, but no longer can ignore. For example, your work stress, long hours working, or any job situation that you're not happy with. Saturn transit the sixth house and make sure that you will reassess, reevaluate how you work and your overall work situation, and also your mental well-being. And sixth house is below the seventh house. Seventh house rules other people. So sixth house is below the seventh house. Sixth house is supporting others. That's why it rules the service that we do for other people. It rules employment. So if you are working as an employee or in service industry or the medical field or in any role that involves serving or helping other people, you will feel the effects Saturn transit the sixth house more strongly. And the same for other areas of life. Saturn makes you start being aware of your habits, your lifestyle choices, and also environments, including both your living conditions and also your work environments. And because those factors usually contribute significantly to your health, your mental well-being. So when Saturn transits the sixth house, it's time to make some adjustments, to let go of some of the things, let go of some of the practices no longer useful to your life, no longer useful to your work. And you should find a better way to do things. And also when you find a better way, more effective way, it can actually help your work performance. Jupiter is currently in your 8th house and will move into the 9th on June 10th and stay there for 1 year. 9th house is considered the most fortunate house in Vedic astrology. It rules our higher mind and outlook on life. So with Jupiter's influence here, your mindsets will become more positive and optimistic. Even though Saturn transit the 6th house, it can make you reassess your job situation and lifestyle choices and some hustles and trouble. But Jupiter's transit the 9th house, you will see them as a positive change because you want to be better. So that's why you want to make those changes. And generally speaking, for Scorpio risings and moons, it may be hard for them to trust life and to stay open. So when Jupiter transits the 9th house, it is a good thing because it will definitely make you more uplifted and positive. And you'll be more open to different ideas, philosophies, belief systems, religions, and also spiritual practices. And this is also an excellent time for learning and personal growth. You will definitely find joy through learning because Jupiter is the Lord of your fifth house and transiting the ninth. So you will feel inspired to take some courses or pursue a higher education to expand your knowledge and skills. At the same time, Rahu transiting the fifth house, you could feel drawn to learn something different. Like maybe it's a foreign language, foreign skills, AI skills, or spiritual or esoteric knowledge. Ninth house rules travels, and Jupiter transit here would definitely bring opportunities for foreign travels, particularly for long distance travels. And yeah, it could be for like an educational purpose, like if you travel for learning or cultural exploration or spiritual retreats. For Sagittarius risings and moons, Saturn is currently in your fourth house and will shift into your fifth house from end of May and stay there for 3 months until end of August. Then return to the fourth house and then stay there until February 2026. Jupiter is currently in your seventh house and will enter the eighth house in June and stay there for 1 year. So Saturn still travels in your fourth house for the majority of 2025. Saturn transit the fourth house continues bringing responsibilities in your domestic surroundings, home environments, and family matters. And in the first 5 months of 2025, Jupiter will still be in your seventh house, which often brings opportunities for partnerships, joint ventures, or business collaborations. And at the same time, Saturn in your fourth house, Jupiter in the seventh house. This combination could indicate the growth in the family dynamics. For example, one of the family members is getting married. It could be you getting married, and you need to take on responsibilities for the wedding, planning the wedding, or someone in the family is having a baby and you also need to take on the responsibilities for taking care of babies, or you've become more involved in the family business, family matters. So that's why there's a change of family dynamics, and also it's an expansion of your family. But usually Saturn transit the fourth house can also bring up issues related to the home that need attention. For example, plumbing issues, water problems, leaking, or electricity issues, like small problems, depending on your charts. But because they happen in your home, in the place where you're supposed to relax and recharge, so it can disturb your inner peace. Like the growth of family is also the same, because it's a happy thing, but still it can disturb your inner peace and also your routines. Rahu will join Saturn in your fourth house on January 12th and stay there for a year and a half. Rahu transit the fourth house can create a sense of instability, a sense of restlessness. So you might feel a strong desire to relocate or to do something with your home, to make some changes in your home. And you might go for some unconventional living arrangements or decoration styles. But because Saturn's still transiting the fourth house for most of 2025, and Saturn brings delays. So if you do think about moving home, Saturn can delay the process of finding the perfect home to live, the process of signing contracts, the process of moving into the new house. So be patient. And like I said, the Rahu transit the fourth house can create like in the restlessness. So it can disturb your inner peace and emotional stability. And at the same time, Ketu is transiting the 10th house. So Ketu in the 10th, Rahu in the 4th, this 10th and 4th axis. So there might be some shifts around your work, and you might become unhappy with certain aspects of your work. It could be you're not happy with the environment, or it could be the nature of work, or it could be the supervisor that you're not happy with. So as a result, there might be some shifts, unexpected shifts around your career direction, and there might be challenges in balancing work and home life under this influence. Then Saturn will shift into your 5th house for 3 months from May 25th until end of August. 5th house is the house of creation. It rules our creative expressions, education, children, and it's a house of fun and pleasures. For Sagittarius risings and moons, Saturn is the lord of your 2nd house, transiting the 5th. 2nd house rules your money, your resources, your material possessions. Now is connecting with your talents and creativity. So when Saturn transits the 5th house, you may start recognizing the value of your creative mind, your intellect, or your creations. So with dedication and efforts, it can be a period of time where you turn one of your projects, your hobbies, into a long-lasting career or business. And you can definitely gain through your talents and creativity, because it's ruling your 2nd house and transiting the 5th. So you can gain through your talents and creative projects. And 5th house rules children, so you might be taking more responsibilities for your kids under this influence. For example, they might be facing some challenges in learning, needing help with homework or sports, or dealing with other situations that need more of your attention and support. As I mentioned, Saturn is the lord of the 2nd house. When Saturn transits the 5th house, it can also indicate financial responsibilities related to your kids. For example, you set up children's educational funds, or budgeting for private schooling, or covering costs for special training for them. But because the transit only lasts for 3 months' time, so that means Saturn shifts into the 5th house. So you might start exploring those ideas or options during this time. The actual events will gradually unfold when Saturn moves into the 5th house in 2026. And Jupiter is now currently in your 7th house for the first 5 months in 2025, and will move into the 8th house on June 10th and stay there for 1 year. 8th house rules changes and transformation. For Sagittarius risings and moons, Jupiter rules you, your 1st house. That's your body. And Jupiter also rules your 4th house, your family dynamic. And these 2 houses, the lord of your 1st and 4th house transiting the 8th house, house of changes and transformation. So, like I said, you can definitely expect some changes in your family dynamics and also within yourself. So having said that, pregnancy is possible, or delivering a baby, birthing a baby under this influence, because the lord of 1st house is transiting the 8th. That's the change of the body. And at the same time, Saturn transiting the 4th house for most of 2025 and briefly shift into the 5th house for 3 months. 5th house rules children. So whether Saturn is in the 4th house or 5th house, both houses are related to the family. They are soft houses. So definitely there's a strong focus on family dynamics throughout 2025 for Sagittarius risings and moons. 8th house rules other people's money, other people's resources, your spouse's money, and your joint resources. With Jupiter transit the 8th house, it can also have a positive influence on your financial situation between you and your spouse, or between you and your business partner. Or if you're in the, like I said, in the business partnership, they could contribute more to your shared assets. So basically, when Jupiter transits the eighth house, you can rely on other people's support. For Capricorn risings and moons, Saturn is currently in your third house and will shift into the fourth house from end of May and stay there for 3 months until end of August. Then return to the third house and stay there until February 2026. Jupiter is currently in your sixth house and will enter the seventh house in June and stay there for 1 year. So for Capricorn risings and moons, Saturn's still in your third house for most of 2025. Third house in Vedic astrology is a fighting house, like how to fight through life, dealing with challenges and overcoming problems, and how to fight for what you want and fulfill your desires. It's also a house of getting things done. So it's a very action orientated house. It's a tough house. And Saturn is a tough planet. So Saturn is actually doing great in the third house. When Saturn transits here, it would definitely make you put a lot of work and efforts in your work situation, which is good. And even though Saturn transit the third house will continue bringing challenges, delays, or limitation, but the goal here, Saturn's goal here, is to strengthen your ability to fight through life, to solve problems, and overcome obstacles. And you really test your dedication to achieve your desires. So you may find yourself working even harder. Because usually for Capricorn risings and moons, you're already hard workers. But when Saturn transits the third house, you probably feel you need to work even harder. And it might also require upgrading your knowledge and skills to achieve them, achieve your goals. Third house rules the mind, the thought process, and our communication. And Saturn transit here brings some challenges in areas related to communication, writing, paperwork, and teamwork. Saturn slows down or complicates how you express yourself or your thought process, especially with your teammates. So it can also, so as a result, it can also cause some misunderstanding or delays in responding, especially with Jupiter still transiting the sixth house for the first 5 months of 2025. When Jupiter transits the sixth house, it brings more workload. So it's very important for Capricorn risings and moons to work on improving your communication skills or use the right tools to solve problems or to help you handle your job more effectively. Because, you know, third house is a very complicated, it's a very busy house, your communication with other people. And with more workload, job opportunity, job responsibilities, if it delays, it can also delay your whole work. And it's not a good feeling for Capricorn risings and moons. So the third house is here. Saturn transit the third house here is actually to help you to develop a way, more effective way to communicate, to deliver your work. And Rahu will join your Saturn in the third house on January 12th and stay there for a year and a half. Rahu is the head of the dragon. It has no body, no roots. So, and then third house, like I said, it's a house of desires because you want to fulfill your desires with your efforts. So Rahu is actually doing great in the third house, but it will definitely amplify your desires. So you may become more driven for success in 2025. You might take risks on trying new ventures or projects and that you haven't done before, which is good. But Rahu is not a stable energy. So the mind might be very scattered, jumping from one idea to another or jumping from one project to another. And it's not working well with Capricorn risings and moons because Saturn is the ruler. It rules you. So doing things step by step is actually working best for Capricorn risings and moons. So pay attention to that. And third house rules short distance travels. with Rahu transit here can increase short trips. So you might travel to places that you haven't been before for work or learning purpose. So with both Rahu and Saturn transiting the third house, it's a good time to learn some new technology, media work, media skills, or anything innovative, anything that can help you deliver your work in a more effective way or communicate more effectively. Then Saturn will shift into the fourth house for 3 months from May 25th until end of August. Fourth house is an angular house. Saturn is actually doing good in the angular house in the fourth house. But when Saturn transits the fourth house, is aspecting the 10th. So your career, your work environments. So for Capricorn risings and moons, your mind will become more focused on work and responsibilities, which is good because the Capricorn risings, they love duties and responsibilities and work. But the home life may demand a lot of your attention as well. There can be many home expenses because Saturn is the ruler of your second house transiting the fourth. So you might have to deal with some renovations, repairs, changes around the house, or family demands, or maybe you provide for your family, or expenses related to your property investments. And Saturn transits the fourth house can definitely bring delays and slow down property dealings, profits. So it's important to plan your budgets carefully. And Jupiter is Jupiter is currently in your sixth house and will move into the seventh house on June 10th and stay there for 1 year. Seventh house is a very important house for Jupiter to be in Vedic astrology's practice, because each planet has its own key houses. And seventh house is Jupiter's key house, because seventh house is a house of partnerships, working with other people. And Jupiter is a planet of expansion. So when Jupiter transits the seventh house, you are working with other people to create something bigger than yourself. And this is a favorable time for Capricorn risings and moons to take actions to create something big, significant, something you wish to be recognized. And Jupiter transit the seventh house usually can bring some benevolent partners in your life. And the partnership that you form during this transit will definitely become more long lasting because you are here together to create something big. So, if you're single, you can meet someone during this transit. And if you're in a more committed relationship, you can improve the harmony and mutual understanding between you and your partner. And you could even bring marriage. And for Capricorn risings and moons, Jupiter transit the seventh house is aspecting first house, is aspecting you. So your health will definitely improve, especially Jupiter in the previous period. In the previous time, Jupiter is transiting the sixth house can bring up some stress, health concerns, and mental issues. So when Jupiter shifts into the seventh house, aspecting the first house, it definitely brings blessings and luck to your physical body, your physical health. And if you've been thinking to start some projects or business ventures or a side hustle, this is also a good time. Because with Jupiter transiting the third house, aspecting the third house, and Rahu transiting the third, it could also another indication for starting a new project, new business, new venture, side hustle. And you may have a new business partner because Jupiter transit the seventh house brings new partner to your life. And so you can do something with someone else to create something big. And something unexpected could happen under this influence. And this can also open up opportunities that you've never thought about before. Aquarius risings and moons, Saturn is currently in your second house and will shift into the third house from end of May and stay there for 3 months until end of August. Then return to the second house and stay there until February 2026. Jupiter is currently in your fifth house and will enter the sixth house in June and stay there for 1 year. So Saturn will still be in your second house for most of 2025. Saturn will continue bringing challenges, limitation, or delays in your second house. And you will still feel some kind of financial delays or sense of constraint for most of 2025. But the sense of constraint can actually help you become more disciplined and organize your money more carefully. The first 5 months of 2025, Saturn still in the second house and Jupiter still transiting the fifth house. So this combination could bring gains through business, investments, shares, or your own efforts and talents, because the fifth house is about your own talents and creativity. And Saturn transit the second house doesn't deny earning or success. Saturn may bring some delays or challenges, but eventually it deepens your understanding of money and finances. So Saturn transit the second house actually help you build long-term financial stability and healthy financial values. And Rahu will come and join Saturn in the second house on June 12th and stay there for 1.5 years. Rahu here will attract money from unusual or unconventional or foreign sources. For example, opportunities from foreign seas, overseas or technology, cryptocurrencies, or innovative investments. And with Rahu's influence here, you might have a strong desire to acquire more money. On the positive side, it can push you to become more entrepreneurial, start a project or explore investment options or business ventures. But on the long-term financial stability standpoint, Rahu is like fast money, fast, unstable energy. So beware of any get rich quick schemes or risky ventures, risky options. Saturn is transiting the second house for most of 2025 for Aquarius risings and moons. Saturn is the lord of your 12th house, house of expenses and losses, transiting the house of wealth. Even though Rahu transiting here can bring some opportunities for sudden gain, but because Saturn's still the lord of your 12th house, transiting the second house. So it can also fluctuate your financial situation. So it's very important for Aquarius risings and moons to maintain enough cash flow to deal with unexpected changes or challenges. Then Saturn will shift into your third house for 3 months from May 25th until end of August. Third house rules our mind, our mental process and communication, how we fight through life and overcome challenges in life. It demands our determinations and effort to fulfill our desires. So it's a tough house. It's a working house. So work-wise, Saturn transit the third house really demands more work and efforts from you. It tests your determination to fulfill your desires, your goals. And you may feel like you have to work extra harder or longer to achieve what you could previously achieve. And it can demand more communication, paperwork, meetings, and so on. Third house rules teamwork. So when Saturn transits here, it definitely brings situations where you need to step up or take more responsibilities for your teammates, or you can be the support for other people. In a way, this could mean that you will step into a leadership position, leading a team or taking charge at work. But be prepared that you are not getting much support from the team under this influence, because you're taking care for them, taking more responsibilities for them. And this 3 months time, Saturn transit the third house really coincides with Jupiter transiting the sixth house. Because when Jupiter shifts into your sixth house from June 10th, and it will stay there for a year. Jupiter transit the sixth house, you will definitely feel you want to do something big, something expensive. So that's why when Saturn transits the third house, you will take more responsibilities for your team, and you can lead. You can step into the leadership position. And Jupiter transit the sixth house, also another indication you become more ambitious with your work. So you feel like you can take on more. And but that also means more workload and responsibilities under this influence. So with these two influence, like Saturn in the third house and Jupiter in the sixth house, this combination can make a very busy and intense 3 months period for Aquarius risings and moons, because you want to do something big, and also maybe you'll step into the leadership position as a result. So the daily routines will also become busier because you have more work responsibilities and duties. And it's very important for Aquarius risings and moons to pay attention to your physical health, your well-being, your mental health, because your busy schedule and work can create some stress in life, and also it can potentially make you more vulnerable to illness. But overall, Jupiter transit the sixth house. Jupiter is aspecting your 10th and also second house. So all the earth houses, other houses are activated, which means the more work that you put in, the higher that you can elevate your reputation. At the same time, increasing your income and financial situation. So it's a good time for Aquarius risings and moons to lay out the foundation for work, for your career, and also your material security. Pisces risings and moons, Saturn is currently in your first house and will shift into the second house from end of May and will stay there for 3 months time until end of August. Then return to the first house and then stay there until February 2026. Jupiter is currently in your fourth house and will enter the fifth house in June and stay there for 1 year. With Saturn still in your first house for most of 2025, it is still a period of time where you will be required to work really hard, take on more responsibilities in both personal and professional life. People may depend on you to complete tasks, solve problems, and deliver results. And this transit can feel really frustrating and a lot of pressure, whether it's work pressure or tight schedule or slow progress, because Saturn here really delays the results. And you will feel like you don't have time to get everything done, because when Saturn transits the first house, the most important lesson is the time management. Saturn will make you super, super busy. But all these situations are here to push you to become more responsible, mature, effective, efficient, and better at handling pressure and tackling challenges and managing your time. Because sometimes for Pisces risings and moons, they are more going with the flow. So when Saturn transits the first house, Saturn is here to help you to become more structured and responsible. And these are also the essence of Saturn's lessons and qualities it wants you to develop, so you can handle life for the next 29 years. That's a Saturn's cycle. So when Saturn transits the first house, it is a tremendous personal growth and transformation. Saturn transit the first house is aspecting the 10th, and Jupiter is still in your fourth house and aspecting the 10th house for the first 5 months of 2025. So for Pisces risings and moons, there's a strong focus on career development. Particularly for early or mid-degree Pisces risings and moons, you may have experienced the career focus and advancements in 2025. If not, and if you are thinking of making changes in your job, the first 5 months of 2025 is a good time because Jupiter is still transiting the fourth house, aspecting the 10th. Then Rahu will join Saturn in your first house on January 12th and stay here for a year and a half. Rahu transit here, you might find yourself focusing more on yourself, whether it's your appearance, your social status, your personal growth, or your ambitions, which is very likely because Saturn is also transiting the first house for most of 2025. You definitely feel driven to be seen and recognized for your effort. Rahu is a crazy and unpredictable energy. So when it transits the first house, it can make you impulsive, adventurous, rebellious, and also ambitious, which is good in terms of your work. But in other aspects of life, you might take some bold or risky decisions without fully considering the consequences. So pay attention to that, especially when Jupiter shifts into the fifth house after June. Fifth house rules speculative business, gambling, and investments. So money-wise, it's very important to be cautious with your financial choices. Then Saturn will shift into the second house for 3 months from May 25th until end of August. Second house is below the first house. It rules things that supports the first house. That's why it rules money and wealth. You know, you can use your money to create the things that you want for yourself, to manifest things for you. And second house also rules food, supports the body and also the family. The family are the people who support you, take care of you. So Saturn transit the second house can slow down your financial gain, or outer circumstances can make your financial situation feel restricted. For example, perhaps you just made a big purchase for your home, or you just relocated, or bought a new car, or spent money on family-related matters, which is very likely because considering Jupiter still transiting the fourth house in the first 5 months of 2025. So you probably just did some big purchase. And so when Saturn moves into the second house, it's natural for you to feel tight with money, the need to be more careful with your spending. And second house rules the family. So when Saturn transits the second house, it could bring situations where you need to step up and take care of your family members. Maybe you need to take on more responsibilities, show some emotional support, or provide financial support. And Jupiter is currently in your fourth house and will move into your fifth house on June 10th and stay there for a year. Fifth house is a trinal house, and Jupiter is actually doing great in the trinal house. So fifth house also rules creative mind, creative expressions, intelligence, education, fun, and pleasures. And with Jupiter's influence in the fifth house, you might find yourself exploring some creative activities like painting, writing, design, or any activity can help you express your ideas. Or it can also be intellectual activities, learning something. And fifth house rules learning and education. So this is also a good time, good transit for students. So you can have a success in your studies. And even though if you're not a student, you will still feel inspired to learn something. Because Jupiter transit here will bring a wonderful learning experiences. Because usually when we learn something in life, sometimes the experience can be very dry and boring. But when Jupiter transits the fifth house, it definitely brings some joyful and wonderful learning experiences. And this can be beneficial both to your personal growth and also your career. Because in Vedic astrology, fifth house is actually the house that prepares you to have the skills and knowledge to do the work, to do the 10th house. And at the same time, Rahu is transiting the first house, and Rahu is a strange and unconventional energy. So you might be inspired to learn something different. For example, like astrology, feng shui, or anything which to do with occult knowledge or a different language. And this combination, Jupiter transiting the fifth house and Rahu transiting the first, can definitely open up new perspectives and help you dive into subjects you never thought you would explore before. And if you have kids, the transit will bring more joy and connection to your relationship with them. And you'll find your interaction with your kids more meaningful and fulfilling. So yeah, that's a wrap on the predictions for 12 signs in 2025. And I hope this, sorry.
Yes, sorry for interrupting.
No. I just hope this video can give people some helpful insights into what's going on, what's going to happen, what's coming in 2025, and how to navigate the journey.
Thank you so much, Carien. It was very insightful. I was listening through pretty much all the 12 signs, my three big ones, of course, my children's, my husband's. they, they merge together, they're reconfirming topics as well. And you can see when something repeats a few times, okay, pay attention. If it repeats from the moon, from the ascendant, maybe from the sun sign. In
Yeah.
one way, it might show like this would be a bit more difficult for career, but the other sign says, oh, actually, there's help here. So there'll be both influences. So I love merging it. Thank you so much for preparing and giving us 2 hours of your time, so much in depth. And again, if anyone wants to connect with Carien, I'm putting a link below. I'm putting cards as well. You can contact her for much more in depth, looking at the whole chart, not just one sign from your chart, but how proper astrology reading is done with a real astrologer. You're welcome to contact Carien. Any closing words for 2025 for us?
No, just thank you for your energy and thank you for watching this video, your concentration, and our collaboration.
Oh, I love your insight. So I go through everything that you do. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Have a blessed 2025.
Thank you.